Portia Woodruff was 8 months pregnant when 6 Detroit police officers showed up to her home saying she's being arrested for carjacking and robbery. Serious crimes Woodruff says she never committed. In a new lawsuit, Woodruff claims investigators' use of faulty facial recognition technology led to her wrongful arrest. In a statement to CNN, Detroit's police chief said he has, quote, reviewed the allegations contained in the lawsuit. They are very concerning, adding, we are taking this matter very seriously, but we cannot comment further at this time due to the need for additional investigation. Joining me now is Portia Woodruff and her attorney, Ivan Land. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Portia, can you describe to me what it was like when police came to arrest you while you were 8 months pregnant?
I can. I woke up that morning. I was preparing to get my daughters ready for school. I initially, thought it was my daughter banging at the door. I heard a real loud knock. I thought it was my daughter running outside to, grab something out of the car, maybe a book bag or something like that. So I ran downstairs and I opened the door, and it was about 6 police officers standing at my door. The officer asked, "Are you Portia Woodruff?" I said, "Yes. How can I help you?" She said, "Well, I have a warrant for your arrest." Initially, I was like, okay, you can't, what do you mean? Like, you can't have a warrant. What do you mean? I thought it was a joke, honestly. So when she told me she had a warrant for my arrest, I asked, a warrant for my arrest for what? Because I wasn't aware of anything. It took a minute. I asked numerous times, I asked a few times, and then another officer came up to the door and said, "Well, we have a warrant for your arrest for carjacking." And I kind of, laughed it off. I'm like, wait, no, you can't be serious. My vehicle is sitting right here in the driveway, which it was 2 vehicles at the time in the driveway. I said, "Are you sure that can't be possible?" I opened the door a little bit further to show them that I was pregnant. I said, "I'm 8 months pregnant. Who am I going to carjack?"
Was there ever a point while you were in police custody that you heard police questioning themselves as to whether they had the wrong suspects after you kept telling them and showing them that you were 8 months pregnant? Did anyone ever say something like, I don't know, maybe it's not her?
No, no one ever did. They looked at the paperwork, they showed me the mugshot, and that was it. No, nobody ever did anything else other than that. Nothing else was done.
Did the witness say that the person that carjacked them was pregnant, visibly?
No, I did ask that question after I was interviewed by the detective, and no one could confirm that the suspect named in the carjacking was pregnant.
Should law enforcement, in your view, be using facial recognition technology, knowing that there are biases that everyone knows about? There are studies about some of those biases. Usually Black and brown people are misidentified.
I read a lot of comments. I don't have the same feelings about facial recognition as others do. I think facial recognition is helpful. Because it helps identify suspects if you use it the right way. It was a matter out of Troy, Michigan, where it was a suspect that used facial recognition. Troy police did some further background and they arrested the suspect. For instance, they got a facial recognition hit from a victim and put the facial recognition photo in front of the victim, who, by the way, stated in his written statement that he had been drinking. So he might not have known that the victim looked the same way, and it just was not accurate. So I had a problem with them allowing him to identify Ms. Woodruff because it might not have been accurate because of his state of mind being drunk. So this was just terrible policing all the way around.
So what you're saying is you're okay with the use of facial recognition technology if it is used with good policing at the same time, with the proper policing at the same time. Portia, now to you. The ACLU has said 6 people have reported being wrongly identified by law enforcement in these cases as a result of facial recognition technology. How do you see facial recognition technology? Should it be used? Is it a good idea?
I have my pros and cons about the facial technology recognition because I'm an example. Me personally, I'm not for it. You know, I'm on the other end. It was used to identify me. So I can't say, oh, okay, I'm for it. And I've been in a situation where it was used and it wasn't used to the good use. It wasn't effectively used, I would say. Because here we are with this situation and it was the wrong identity. They didn't use it the correct way. Me personally, I'm not a fan of it. I can't say that.
Can I ask you just quickly how you are, how your children are, and what this did to you, and how long you were in police custody?
I'm still having issues. I am still having issues. I'm dealing with the postpartum. I just had my son in March. My children, they're having issues. They're stressed. They're having anxiety issues. They're having issues with, being teased. They're having issues, with trying to understand and cope with the fact that I was arrested in front of them. That was an experience that I can't take back, and it should have been avoided. My children shouldn't have had to experience that for something I didn't do. That was a whole traumatic situation within itself, and I was pregnant.
Did you suffer any adverse reaction to, being held for quite a long time in the jail? Did you end up having to have any medical treatment? I
did go to the hospital after I was released. I was having contractions. My blood pressure was up. I was also diagnosed with gestational diabetes. My apologies. So my sugar and everything, by me not eating, I was dehydrated. I was trying to do different techniques while I was in the detention center, to keep my anxiety down because I was having a panic attack because I didn't know what to do. I felt helpless in there. But my main concern was making sure that my unborn child was safe, because that could have ended in a different, and something totally different. I could have lost my child being under that type of stress and being in that type of situation.
Portia Woodruff and Mr. Land, thank you so much for coming on to tell us your story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am here with retired NYPD Sergeant Felipe Rodriguez, and we've got a lot of questions for him, including whether this technology should be used by law enforcement. We'll talk all about it next. All right, let's talk more about the problems associated with facial recognition technology with Felipe Rodriguez, a professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. He is also a retired NYPD sergeant and detective. All right, I want to start with this because this is something that we heard from in this particular case, that according to the ACLU, Portia is at least the sixth person who has reported being wrongly accused of a crime as a result of facial recognition technology. Isn't it telling that all six of these folks are Black, and even advanced technology seems to have a bias? Should we be using it?
Advanced technology, as we see, isn't perfect, right? When we have facial recognition, it's still in its infancy. So at this point, what we're seeing is that the detectives or whoever's conducting the investigation should do so with caution. At this moment, it hasn't been perfected. It's just another tool in the toolbox. So we're seeing that there are problems with the facial recognition. So it's obviously some sort of either flawed design or the technology just hasn't caught up to the way our features are, basically.
Black and brown people, it tends not to recognize as accurately. But it has been used for things like finding missing people, solving crimes. I think in 2021, I was looking at these numbers, the Federal Government Accountability Office reported that 42 federal agencies that employ law enforcement have used facial recognition technology. How can it be used with accuracy and fairly in a society where there are cameras everywhere now?
That's correct. Surveillance is everywhere. So we're going to see that it's a big way to combat crime. Anything that happens now, the first thing we do is we send detectives out to canvass the area and make sure that we do have footage. The footage then results into what? Putting that program and using facial recognition. So yet we still have to do like everything else. We have to corroborate. We just can't take it upon a machine telling us it's the person. Let's find out where that person was that night. Let's try to establish an alibi. Let's try to maybe interview witnesses. And let's make sure that when we do a photo array or photo lineup, we do it in the fairest manner, which would be sometimes, guess what? I could be the detective and I say, do me a favor, you run the lineup. This way, you don't even know who the bad person or the individual that could be the suspect at that time. So when we interact with the person who could be the complainant or the victim, we're not even implicitly, without even knowing, a bias being presented. And we do so in a professional and just manner. And that's also very important.
Something that Portia said was that the detectives did not hear from the witness that the person who attacked them, carjacked them, was pregnant. She was 8 months pregnant. That
Very
would have been a
obvious.
big clue.
Yes, that's
All
correct.
right. Thank you so much, Sergeant, for joining us. I really appreciate you coming on and explaining all that to us.
My pleasure. Thank you.